Hello YouTubers, this is going to be a very quick video on the old LED lights I have. I'm saying old because none of these lights are nearer than 6-7 years old except the light bulb one, which is going to be E27 socket. I'm going to go through each one individually, just a high level summary. This is my Dynamax, which is more than a decade old. It's the IQ3. These lights are 1.6 watts each and they're rated 11,000K. This here is a point wave. As you see, lots of the LEDs have died already. It's supposed to be a 16 watt with multiple 1 watt 10,000K white LEDs and multiple royal blue lights there. As I mentioned, this is the cheap bulb with the heatsink from eBay. That's a 21 watt and full spectrum. We have the default light from the Fuvo Spec 5 tank, and that is rated at 7,500 kelvins. I do believe it is a 6 watt light. Please Google it because I don't remember. Behind it is an older Marine Land LED strip light. Please do not confuse this one with the newer one later as I show you how it looks, because it looks pretty good, but again, it's about 6-7 years old. And I do believe it's also supposed to be a 7,500K Kelvin colored white light with the lunar setting, but it is, I do believe, maybe an 18 watt light because there's 36 white LEDs in there and I believe they're half watt. There's no model indication on it and whatnot. I don't have the box, I don't remember the specs. For reference, here's a candle burning. The camera, for those of you who are tech buffs, it's set to 1/30th of a shutter. Aperture is 3.5. ISO is 1250. And the white balance is set to 7,000 Kelvin. Just the Dynamax light is on right now. Again, these are 1.6 watts each. It's rated at 11,000, and there's actually a bunch of different LEDs in there, primarily white and blue. There's a little bit of green, just a touch of red in there. Now this setup here, I have two lights. I'm gonna turn off one light so you can see it makes a huge difference with the one light and the additional one. Now, this has been growing the GSP, which is knocked over right now from the snail. That's unfortunate. And a few of the Zoas. So it will grow with this light. There's enough. So there's roughly 3 watts. I'm going to say there's probably just 2 watts of light for this 1.8 gallon Pico tank. When I was using this tank a while back and growing a lot more than what you see here, I had 3 of these lights. I needed the 3 because there wasn't enough intensity. By intensity, it's bright as you see, but there wasn't enough par light, so the intensity down here, to grow other corals that I had. Here is the stock Fuvo Spec V, the 5 gallon 7500K, and I do believe it's 6 watts. Again, look it up, just Google search it. This tank is the one that comes with the 83 gallon per hour pump, so it's a newer one. As you can see, the intensity, it's alright, it does the job, but it's not going to be growing any coral, and the main reason why is because it's still too dim, and the main thing is it's not at the higher kelvins that we want. Many years ago when I was using T5s and other bulbs, yeah, we didn't have all these crazy LEDs that would 11,000K and up, but the intensity was there. This light is lacking that intensity, and as you remember, compared to the Dynamax, this light, as you can see, it's nowhere as white as the Dynamax, and there's a comparison very quickly. All right, and we're just gonna flick it off again. Here is the light in the lunar mode. Next up, this is the Marine Land light I have. Now again, this is at least 6-7 years old, so please don't confuse this with the brand new one, unless the brand new ones are pretty much the same, but less LED, however, brighter LED. There are 36 LEDs in here, and I believe they're all half watts, because if it was 1 watt, this is definitely not 36 watts. I used to have a light that was that bright. And as you see, the lunar lights are also on. This is quite white. I don't have the box information on this, and there's no model number, so I can't reference it. I don't want to say it's quite 10,000K, and I can't say it's 7,500K because it's quite a bit whiter than the Fuvo one that we know by manufacturer. It'll spec at that. 8,000, 9,000 Kelvin wasn't that popular back then. I know that there are LEDs around that color temperature. So I think what you're seeing here is basically going to be the difference between the different intensity. So again, this light here I think was only about 6 watt, look it up. Whereas if this one is half watt LEDs and there's 36 of them, we're looking at 18 watt. And here's the luminaire setting. This light here is going to be the wave point. This is supposed to be a 16 watt light. When it was new, many years ago, this was a phenomenal light. Each of these white LEDs were rated at 1 watt, and they are also rated at 10,000 K. These are the royal blues, and my coral, softies and everything were growing like mad. It was a really good light. And as you see here, what's illuminating this tank right now is this light with only the one white LED. So you can see why with the mainland light, I'm thinking those are half watts each, and the intensity is less than 10,000, because this one for sure I know is rated at 10,000, and those are the royal blue lights. Alright, last but not least is going to be the eBay bulb. And as you can see, it is actually quite bright. I've lowered the height, and that's why it looks a little dimmer. I'll bring it up in just a bit. This is 21 watts. Again, it's a E27 socket, so it just goes in any household light socket. It's par 30, and it's got all the spectrum. Definitely has the royal blue in it and adds a really good shimmer. I wish I had noticed that my GSP is not glued down right now because I'll be moving that soon. Had I known it was flipped over like that, I would have flipped it up and hoped that it would open up with the light. You can really see the shimmer that this light brings out of everything, and it's really, really bright. I believe I purchased this light for about $10, so really, it's a really good backup bulb to have at least. So I just brought it up a bit and you can see. So the other reason why I'm doing this video is because soon I'm going to have this tank set up, and I will be using the marine land light that I demoed, because this will be sufficient for the type of corals I'll have, at least I'm pretty sure. And if it is not, I have the eBay light to substitute as I go and look for different alternatives, such as from the Nano Box or from Current USA, and there's also other brands that I may be looking at. Anyways, I hope this video was at least a good demo, if not informative to someone who's curious about looking at buying some older lights because you're on a budget. But honestly, I'm pretty sure you know on lots of forums, and if you ask other hobbyists, they always tell you don't cheap out on lights. You know, as I mentioned here, this tank came with only one light, and I bought another light, and another time there's a third one because you really need the lights. The eBay bulb, you know, that's a really good cost-effective way to go, because you can just get several sockets and kind of hang it off your tank and be able to have a really good range on it. Now, of course, there's no fancy timers or dimmers on that. Some of those LED bulbs can be dimmed, some cannot, so be aware of that. And I just use a Wi-Fi timer on it, and I tell it to follow the sunrise and sunset. And I can also put in different schedules in there and whatnot. And I know that sometimes you can pick up the newer version of the marine land ones that has the specs from the company that says that it can grow reefs, and you gotta look into which ones is on. I've seen them go on eBay for $50. So if you still want a name brand light for cheap, and you're gonna go your own, you know, timer route by just buying, you know, a little analog thing or digital Wi-Fi controller or whatnot, that is an alternative. Thanks for watching.